My name is Neo, and I am 68 years old. At my age, most people say life slows down. Days become quieter, the world becomes calmer, and the worries of youth fade away. But what no one tells you is this. Sometimes the hardest betrayals come after you have already given your whole life to the people you love. The day my son took all my savings and went on a luxury vacation was the day I realized something painful. Not every child grows up understanding sacrifice. And not every parent learns the power of saying no until it is almost too late. The life I built. I wasn't born into money. I spent most of my life working as a mechanic in a small auto repair shop on the edge of town. My hands were always rough from grease and tools, but I wore those calluses like a badge of honor. Because every scraped knuckle meant one thing. My family was taken care of. My wife Laura used to say, "Neo, you work too hard." And I would laugh and reply, "Hard work today means peace tomorrow." We had only one child, our son Daniel. From the moment he was born, he became the center of our world. Laura adored him. I made sure he had opportunities I never had. Private tutoring, a good school, his first car at 17. I believed that giving him everything would prepare him for life. Looking back now, I wonder if I accidentally taught him something else instead. That everything would always be given. The loneliest years. 5 years ago, Laura passed away after a sudden illness. That day changed everything. The house felt larger but emptier. The laughter that once filled the rooms faded into quiet memories. Daniel visited during the funeral. He cried, hugged me, and promised he would call often. But promises are easy to make in moments of grief. Weeks turned into months. Phone calls became rare. Visits became even rarer. Still, I never complained. I told myself he was busy building his life with his wife, Melissa. A parent always finds ways to excuse their child's absence. The message from the bank. One quiet Tuesday morning, I was drinking coffee when my phone buzzed. It was a notification from my bank. At first I ignored it. Banks send messages all the time. But something made me open it. And when I did, my heart nearly stopped. Withdrawal, $48,000. My entire savings account was empty. My hands began shaking. I stared at the screen again and again, hoping I had misunderstood something. But the numbers didn't change. Every dollar I had carefully saved during retirement was gone. The truth. I rushed to the bank. The young banker looked uncomfortable as he checked the records. "Mr. Neo," he said carefully, "the withdrawal was made legally." "How?" I asked, my voice barely steady. "It was authorized by your son, Daniel. His name is listed on the account as an emergency contact." My chest tightened. I had added his name years ago. Just in case something happened to me. Not so he could empty my life savings while I was alive. The phone call I'll never forget. I called Daniel immediately. He answered cheerfully. "Hey, Dad." "What happened to my savings?" I asked quietly. There was a brief silence. "Oh, that. As if we were talking about borrowing a book. "Melissa and I took a vacation," he said casually. My heart sank. "A vacation?" "Yeah, Dad, we needed a break. Life is stressful." "That was my retirement money," I said. He sighed impatiently. "Dad, relax, you're not even using it." Those words hit me harder than anything else. "You took everything, Daniel." He laughed lightly. "Come on, I'm your son. That money would come to me eventually anyway." In that moment, I felt something inside my chest crack. The photos. 2 days later, I saw the pictures. Daniel and Melissa standing on a tropical beach. Sunlight sparkling on the water. Expensive drinks in their hands. big smiles on their faces. The caption read, "Living our best life." I stared at the screen for a long time. Not once had Daniel asked if I was okay. Not once had he apologized. That night I sat in the living room, holding Laura's old photograph. "Did we spoil him too much?" I whispered. The silence gave no answer. A quiet decision. The next morning I called my lawyer. "Good morning, Mr. Neo," he said. "How can I help you today?" "I want to change my will." There was a short pause. "Of course, what changes would you like?" For decades, I believed everything I owned should go to Daniel. But that belief had shattered. "I want to donate most of my estate to charity," I said calmly. "Education funds, community programs, a public library." My lawyer sounded surprised. "And your son? He'll receive something." I paused before finishing the sentence. "Just not everything." The unexpected family. A few weeks later, something wonderful happened. My neighbor's granddaughter, Emma, knocked on my door. "Mr. Neo," she asked shyly, "can I use your garden hose?" I smiled and nodded. Soon she began visiting often. She helped me water the plants, asked endless questions, and filled the quiet house with laughter. Her parents started visiting too. They brought homemade food. They fixed a broken fence. They checked on me during rainy nights. They treated me with kindness without expecting anything. It reminded me that family is not always the people who share your blood. Sometimes it is the people who choose to care. Daniel returns. 3 months later, Daniel appeared at my door. He walked inside like nothing had happened. "Hey, Dad." I looked up from my chair. "Hello, Daniel." He glanced around the house. "You really need to upgrade this place," he said. I stared at him quietly. "You spent my savings on a vacation." He rolled his eyes. "You're still talking about that." That moment changed something in me forever. "Daniel," I said calmly, "do you remember when you broke your arm at age 6? "Yeah." "I stayed at the hospital 3 nights without sleeping." He shrugged. "So?" I looked into his eyes. "So I believed you would grow up understanding love." He looked annoyed. "Dad, you're overreacting." Then he asked the real question. "So, when you pass away, I'll get the house right." The bluntness stunned me. But instead of anger, I felt clarity. "No." The truth comes out. Daniel frowned. "What do you mean, no?" I changed my will. His face turned pale. "You can't do that, I'm your son." "Yes," I replied calmly. "And you treated me like a bank account." I handed him a copy of the new will. Most of my estate was going to education scholarships and a public children's library. Daniel stared at the document in shock. "You're giving my inheritance away." "No," I said quietly. "I'm giving my life's work to people who value it." He stormed out of the house in anger. The door slammed so hard the walls shook. But strangely, my heart felt lighter than it had in months. The unexpected apology. 2 weeks later, my phone rang. It was Daniel. "Dad, can we talk?" We met at a small cafe. He looked exhausted. "I was wrong," he said. I stayed silent. "I thought you'd always forgive me, no matter what." "That doesn't make what you did right," I replied. He nodded slowly. "I know." Then he said something surprising. "I started paying the money back." I raised my eyebrows. "Why?" He sighed. "I ran into Emma's father. He told me something that stuck with me." "What did he say?" Daniel looked down. "He said a father who sacrifices everything deserves respect, not exploitation." His voice trembled slightly. I realized I treated you like a resource instead of a parent. A slow healing. Over the next year, Daniel repaid the money little by little. But more importantly, he began visiting. Not for money, not for favors, just to spend time. We drank coffee together, watched old movies, talked about life. The relationship wasn't perfect, but it was real. One evening Daniel asked quietly, "Dad, will you ever change the will back?" I smiled gently. "Maybe." He looked hopeful. "But that depends on the man you choose to become." Moral of the story: love should never be mistaken for permission to be taken advantage of. Respect is the foundation of every relationship, even between parents and children. Sometimes the most powerful lesson a parent can teach is the courage to stand up and say enough. Because money can disappear, but character lasts forever. And in the end, the greatest inheritance any parent can leave behind is not wealth. It is wisdom, integrity, and the value of gratitude.